Welcome to my channel. Make sure you subscribe, like and comment.
Hello, guys. Welcome once again. So, we're here to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville, season 10, episode 4. Before we go ahead and talk about this episode, how would you rate this episode?
I would I would give them like a 4.2. We're just still finding out the same kind of stuff, with just a little bit more added. So it's like, okay, they gave us the meat. Now we need the condiments and the sides. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, how would you
Yeah.
rate it?
Um, for me, I would rate it a 3.
Okay. Why is that?
Yeah. Just like you said, it's still the same things that I've known from season 1 of the show.
Right.
Um, just giving it a spin over and spin over. And at this point, it is getting exhausting,
Yeah.
right? At this point,
Mhm.
I'm exhausted because I can literally close my eyes and be like, okay, I know the storyline. I know where it's gonna head, so uh, well, I don't know. Well, anyway, let's go ahead. But before we talk about this episode, I noticed something. This is the fourth episode of this season, and we've only seen Martel. Like he was in the first episode, and he was in last week's episode. Was it last week's episode? Yes. And so just
Yes.
it wasn't even up to like the scenes he was in the episode. It wasn't even up to like a minute long. And I'm like, how is he part of the main cast if he just has glimpse into the episodes? Like he's just being shown for a few minutes. I'm like, I feel like he really doesn't have any storyline, and I did not like me when I heard that Melody was leaving the show. I expected Martel to also exit the show. Because for me, I feel like without Melody, he doesn't really have any storyline, and it's really evident. It's
Right.
really, really showing that without Melody, Martel has no storyline because the the episodes where he was shown in episode 1 and episode 3, we got to see him talking about Arion. He was talking about he has been checking out wedding rings and he's thinking about marriage. And I'm like, I've heard these things over and over again. And he was
Right.
like, yeah, he's sorry for calling her whatever when he
Peasant.
called her. Yeah, a peasant. And I'm like, all these things is going on because Melody is not on the show. If Melody was still on the show, we would not be hearing those things from Mattel.
Right. I think
Why?
he wants to get Ariane on the show, but the execs
Yeah, I think
aren't
I
having
also
it.
think that that's where they're going towards. But I
Hmm.
think that they are scared. No, I think they're trying to like, okay, how would I put it? I think they're trying to ease the viewers into the Arion stuff
Mm.
because you know that Melody has left the show, and
Right.
most of the fans, especially Melody's fans, left the show also.
Hmm.
Um, most of them are like, if Melody ain't there, there's no need watching, right?
Right.
Um, Now they're like, okay, Mattel, he needs to be on the show, maybe for the money or something. I don't know. Okay, let's start talking about Arion to ease the public because they know the public does not like Arion.
Right.
Not for the fact that maybe she was a side chick that had a child for a man. She's not going to be the first person to do it.
True.
Neither is she going to be the last person that would ever do it. The problem is what she did in between, the way she was always, ranting on social media, the way she was always, saying things on social media, the way she was always like being so vocal when she was wrong. When you're vocal and wrong at the same time, it's a different ball game.
Yeah, and she was
So,
really manipulative.
mhm.
like
So they
and
know,
bullying. You know,
yeah,
you gonna
they
bully a
know that
woman about a tape that she made with her husband. Like
mhm.
it was just too much.
And they know that the viewers might not like that. And I think apart from the viewers not liking it, I also feel like some of the cast members might not
Right.
also like it
Well.
because we know that her mouth is a blabber mouth. You
Hmm.
piss her off, she goes off.
Hmm.
She doesn't know when to shut up and walk away. She just wants to prove her point, and that is it. And I feel like most of the cast members are scared that, okay, if this lady comes into the mix, like, would we be having that fear of what she can say? Those kind of things. So I feel like apart from the them trying to be seen like, okay, with the viewers finally fall in love with Ariane and want her to be on the show, another thing is the cast members that are still there, would they still also be able to entertain this lady coming on the show? But in general, I just feel like Martel should have left the show also, or he should have been fired because he would not leave willingly. I feel like he should have been let go the moment Melody said um she was no longer doing the show again. I do not understand why he's there. Another person I still don't understand too why she's there is Destiny.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, I do not so understand Destiny why she's there. The only thing she does is bringing up Martel in the presence of the people. I'm like, what is Destiny? Well, just 4 episodes, so I'm gonna keep my cool and not complain for the reason why Destiny is back on the show. Well, I guess we'll find out as the season is going forward. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about this episode, right? We started this episode with the continuation of Mattel of the Scott talking about um the monster Jalen growing up and how Jalen feels like Masao was not sorry, not Masao. Maurice was not like a father figure to him, and he treated Monster different. I said this when I was reviewing the episode last week. I said he was wrong in every manner. Maurice is wrong in every shade, color, and size.
Right.
And the way he said, there was one statement he said in last week's episode that pissed me off. When he said, the child that I decided to there's the English he used. I always want to remember that statement. I think he put it like the child that I had to like something like it, the child I had to be the father to. And at that moment, Kimmy was shaking her head. I was disappointed in Kimmy because I was like, I would have, if you referred to my child like that, because I still had to accept your own child, right? I would have stood up there and slapped Maurice. And you know what did that episode and this episode showed me is that Kimmy is such a big pick me. She sat through that conversation. I don't think, even if in her mind, maybe something in her mind is telling her that Kimmy, something is wrong. This conversation is wrong. But she sat through that conversation nodding her head like an agama lizard for no reason and watched that man said what he said about his child, the way he brought up Monster and Jalen. And I don't like it. If you want to get into a home that is already a child, don't make the stepchild feel like, yeah, you're a stepchild. There's a difference of the way I'm going to train you, and there's a difference of the way I'm going to train my own child. And that for the fact that Jalen grew up looking at Monster being like a golden child because of the way Maurice treated Monster, it shows that Kimmy was never a good mother. The only thing that Kimmy had in her head was just being a good wife to um
Maurice.
Maurice and forgot how to be a good mother to Jalen. And I feel like she fell flat
Yeah.
because
I
I
kind of
know that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just kind of feel like, you know, what Jaden experienced and what he, you know, let everybody know is it was almost like a Cinderella type of thing, like uh the stepsister or the stepkid does all the work around the house while the other one gets to lay around and eat grapes
Mm-hmm.
and twiddle their thumbs and shit. So, it made me feel bad for him, you know, because he wasn't treated the same way Monster was treated. I mean, you could kind of see that in the past episodes when they showed Monster and Jaden when they were both living in the house, you know?
Mm.
So, yeah, I feel bad. And yeah, I seen how Kimmy just sat there, like she just let it go over her head, but she kind of raised her eyebrow to what he said something about, well, it was my choice to love Jaden.
Yeah,
No, it's a total package. You know what I'm saying? If you don't
exactly.
love
That is how
me
it's
and
supposed to be.
mine, yeah, if you don't love me and mine, you can't love me and not love what comes with me, you know? And so, yeah, uh, I, I don't know what is wrong with Kimmy. Why she couldn't
Mm.
stand up for her child and say, well, wait a minute, hold up. Because I never treat a monster like that. She should
Mm-hmm.
have put a stop to it a long time ago. Like
Exactly.
if he's taking the trash out one day, Monster's taking that out tomorrow. Treat them equally across the board. You know, you can't show favoritism towards your own seed. That's not cool.
Exactly. And the fact that Kimmy sat down there and literally see it play out that he was treating Monster well, his own child well. Why couldn't you treat your own child well?
Oh,
He treated his own child well.
she left it up to her man to give all the
No,
household orders and
I felt so disappointed in Kimmy. She sat down there, the way she was nodding her head, I was like, no, no, no. Kimmy needs a hammer to her head. Like she needs screw, being screw. Because why would you sit down there and be nodding your head? Like I'm like, are you a lizard?
mm,
What are you nodding your head for? I always dislike it when I say mothers did not do a good job um with their children. And I'm so glad. The only thing I'm glad about is that at the end of the day, Jalen still grew up to be a wonderful person,
yeah,
right?
yeah, very
Because
well grounded.
it could have been the other way around.
Yeah, it seems like he has a
When
good head on his shoulders and he's very
yeah,
well grounded and he's aware
uh-huh,
of circumstances and
yeah,
everything around him. He a kid knows when you've mistreated them, you know, and when they're old enough to express it, all you can do is listen and try and correct it from that point instead of
mm,
denial and deny. No, I thought I was being equal. Well, if I'm saying you weren't, then maybe possibly you weren't. You know.
yeah. But later in the episode, we saw him and and Maurice, Masao, and Jalen had a sit down with it, which they talked about this. Now, I
Right.
want to ask, how did you feel about that sit down? Because for me, it did not still sit well with me. Not because the conversation they didn't have that conversation. I felt like for me to have seen the seriousness in that conversation, he should have had that conversation with only Jalen. Um, I didn't understand why Masao was there. I also did understand why Masao was there because he recognized that Jalen sees Masao more as a father figure than him. I do understand that part. But I felt like, to be sincere in my own view, I felt like he needed to have that one-on-one sit down with Jalen, not with Marcel.
Yeah,
Marcel should not have been there.
yeah, but he did have that one-on-one the week before with Jaden, and you know, he just couldn't see what Jaden was trying to tell him.
Oh,
His mind was cloudy, like, no, I treated you guys the same. No, I don't recall that. You know, Monster was sitting back playing video games and you were cleaning up. You know what I'm saying? So he tried to have that conversation. So now the second conversation where Marcel was there, um, I think it opened up a lot to let us see how Marceau felt about how Maurice was growing up because he was the golden child like Monster.
mm,
You know, he could do no wrong. He did less work. you know, he
yeah,
helped less around the house because he was the baby. You know, so
yeah. You know, I guess we would agree to disagree
okay.
on that point. But moving forward, let's go ahead and talk about the party, because I wanted to say let's talk about Trish meeting up with Miss Nell, but I felt like the conversation led up to the party. You know, Latisha, Trish, sorry, not Latisha, Trish and Miss Nell had a conversation about her party, her birthday party coming up, um, and those kind of things, like not trusting the girls, how Latisha is always wanting to know about other people without exposing herself. So that played out in the party, and that's why I'm not going to dwell on it. The only part I'm going to laugh at a little bit is the fact that who does a birthday party? It's your own birthday, and you do a flyer and you put you and your man's picture. That question needed to be asked, and I'm glad that Latisha asked, because why is it your birthday and you and your man's picture is there? It's your birthday.
Right.
It's supposed to be only you. But she said that's her man, so maybe that's their thing. You know. So the birthday party, surprisingly and unsurprisingly, they did not invite Destiny. They also did not also invite Mattel. That begs the
Right.
question: why are the both of them cast members? And for that matter, they are also main cast members of the show. So it begs the question that what is their role on the show? But let's talk about the party. Um, let's talk about the guys' part. The guys were talking to Ken about the fact that at the end of the day, he has to recognize that he's the bad guy in the issue between him, Latrice, and Trish and Marquez, because they are still married. How did you feel about that statement from Morris?
I mean, that's the truth.
Mm,
When you look at the big picture, she's still a married woman. You know, in today's
yeah,
society, yeah, people they start relationships before they end other relationships and marriages. That's today's society. You know, um, is it the right thing to do? Some would argue, yeah, live your best life. Me
mm,
personally, I like to end everything, yeah, before I start something new. You know what
mm,
I'm saying? Because I don't need you to be thinking, oh, there's still a chance when there's no
yeah,
chance in hell. Because once it's over, it's over. I don't repeat. I don't even repeat the same outfits. So I'm gonna repeat the same man,
Uh-huh.
you know? So yeah, what he said, it rings some truth to me, you
Mm.
know. Everybody's gonna look at him like he's the issue. Like back
Yeah.
up and see what they do.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that's the truth because why are you coming so much in between a divorce? Not be and it's not like the man is an abusive man, a bad man, or something like that, or he's beating up on his ex-girlfriend. Like, well, I'm confused at the both of them. But anyways, I'm glad that he was told that at the end of the day, he should just recognize that Trish and Marquez are still married.
Yeah,
Now let's
and
move on to the
they're the
yeah.
family unit. That's the family unit right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he needs to just wait and see, back up, move out, wait and see what she does with this, you know.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the ladies. The ladies were in the party, and now there's one thing I don't like. I don't know whether Trish doesn't know, Latricia doesn't know how to hold her liquor. But most parties I've seen her gone to, she has always gotten herself to a level of tipsiness or highness that
Yeah,
makes that gives her one courage that sometimes unnecessary.
yeah.
And it happened again in today's episode where she got tipsy and started wilding out. Now,
Okay, I can't hear you. You just went silent. Okay, well, I'm gonna talk then because I can't hear you. Something's wrong with your mic. Excuse me. But yeah, I kind of felt like, yeah, she got a little tipsy. She got a little bit beside herself. You never confront a man, you know, about something that was said. You know, it it was just stupid. You let your man handle that when it comes to other men. If you got a man there, you let your man handle that. Yeah, I would have did the same thing Nell did. Like, hey, hold up. He doesn't answer to you. He answers to me, girl. Like, that's your dude over there. Even as Marceau stepped to her, whispered in her ear, we already talked about it. She still want to get all rah rah. Let me tell you, I don't think she's about that life. Seriously, I really don't. You know, but yeah, that was really crazy. That was totally crazy. But I wanted to say this about what's her name, Tisha, Tish. I don't know. It's something about her attitude now. It's like it's ranky, it's stanky. Like she is like really feeling herself these episodes. You know what I'm saying? It's like almost like is she trying to become the new Melody? Because it ain't working. No, you can't be Melody. You know what I'm saying? Melody is Melody. You came in as who you came in as, you know, but it just seems like she's starting to be the bone carrier. She's starting to be the shit starter right now. You know what I'm saying?
are you talking about Nell?
No, I'm talking about Tish. That's her name, right?
Oh,
Tish?
I feel like what I feel is like um I feel like this period they would be exposed because then if Nell wants to start up being like, oh, you've not talked about yourself, they always be like, why is Nell always in other people's problems? Why is Nell always wanting to know about other people? Those kind of things.
Hmm.
Now Nell is no and Melody is no longer there to be like pry information from them.
No,
At
but
the
it
end of the day,
seems it seems like Tish is trying to like take like trying to be the star of the show to me, and that's why I said no, she's not a Melody. Be who you started off being, you know, because it just seems like now she's the bone carrier. You know, it's like she'll give a suggestion, like she gave the suggestion now. I hope you guys got that straightened out. And then as soon as they get at her party, that's like the number one thing they start talking about. And then she sits there and she just smirks. I don't know if you caught the smirk, but I did.
Yeah.
You know, she's a shit starter. You know what I'm saying? But with you know, and knowing that, hey, the guys are just over there. Why are you guys going over there talking about same shit and taking it over there? And like I was saying, yeah, Letitia, yeah, she gets to drinking, and all of a sudden now she wants to confront a grown man when your man already had this conversation. He even whispered in your
Oh
ear.
my God.
We talked about
I
it.
felt so embarrassed for her that moment.
Yeah, and it's like, calm down. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not about that life. You know, seriously. If you got a man and he's handling the situation amongst the other men, you don't come over there starting and pointing fingers and jumping up in somebody's face. That's a good way to get your teeth knocked out. Seriously, because you don't know how some of these men be tripping, about having a woman in their face pointing their finger. You know, that's what her man was over there for, you know. So yeah, it just kind of tripped me out. Like, what is she doing? Like, girl, sit down, please. Don't get your man in a scuffle, you know. And it ain't gonna be fair because it's two brothers against whoever, But Nell, she
Yeah.
stepped up. She stepped up right because I would have did the same thing. Like, hold up, who you pointing your finger at? Who you yelling
Yeah.
at? You
Not on
know,
my husband.
yeah, like
You
girl,
can do
get
that for
out of
your own
here.
husband.
Get out of here before I come out
You,
my
you
hat.
you can talk like that to your own husband, not somebody else's. Like
Exactly.
that is why, like, and she was coming with so much pride, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna chime it down because he has liquid encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
But still, that was not right. Masao taking her out was the best thing he could do, because if he had not taken her out and like told her to keep quiet, I'm telling you, with the way she was tipsy, yeah,
Yeah, she shouldn't drink. She don't know how to drink.
at all,
Mm-mm.
at all. I said something in a post that I made on Facebook. I said, is it looking like, I asked the question, right? I said, is it looking like this season is going to be the whole castmates versus the Fletchers?
The whole cast what now?
The whole castmate, like the whole cast versus the Fletchers.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Fletchers are kind of like stepping into their own on this show, you know, and the other castmates, it's like I don't know what they're doing. Seriously, I have a clue about what their storylines are,
Yeah.
you know, and it doesn't really seem like they have one. They're just going with the last little thing that came up, and they're just dragging it on.
Yeah. I like Tisha, stay away from me. Stay away from people's husband, because I'm pretty sure that if it was Nell that was pointing and yelling at Masao that way, Tricia would not have taken it.
No.
She would not. So let's be mindful from now on. Let's be mindful. And do you think that Nell would ever be close to any of these ladies?
No, I don't really think so, simply because the age gap, and she's more mature than these ladies. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that there's really a solid friendship in any of this. I just think basically they're just co-workers. Because you remember for a minute, Letitia and Kimmy wasn't even getting along, and they're sister-in-laws.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this is just a business opportunity. You show up to work, you go home.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But you know what? I hope that we get to see the reservation between Miss Nell and Latisha. But with the way things are going, do you think that Miss Nell and Latisha can ever be that close?
No, I don't think so.
Mm,
I really don't. I think that Nell would probably develop a relationship with what's her name?
Trish.
Trish.
Yeah.
Simply because Trish right now is seeming like she's trying to get close to her to have an ally.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't seem like she's really trying to get too close to Kimmy or too close to Letitia right now. So there's Nell.
mm. Well, let's just see how it is going to really play out. Now let's go to the. Did you watch the preview for next week episode?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. What's your thought about the preview for next week's episode?
Um, I'm trying to remember everything. Um, Jeez, I don't know.
Uh, eh,
I'm trying to think what I remember, and right now I'm drawing a big
um,
blank.
the fact that Miss Nell and Lance were having a chat, and he was like he was drained mentally, and
Oh
she offered
yeah,
to stay at his place 3 days and nights for the week. When I heard that, I was like, 3 days in a week? That's too much. She's also married to her own husband.
yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot of cuddling for a grown kid. I mean, it. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on with him. I mean, I understand. That a lot of young men are going through a lot of mental health. Where they they're overwhelmed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And maybe she just sees the need that, hey, if I don't do something, it's gonna get worse.
Uh,
You know what I'm saying? I
uh-huh.
mean, sometimes you see your kid out there and in distress,
Yeah.
and basically, a mother's love is the only thing that's gonna bring them back and make them strong.
Uh, yeah.
Because as parents, what we do is we give our kids the tools that are necessary, so when they get out in this big world, you know they can remember what you taught them and pull out the tools as they need that you taught them in order to survive something. Sometimes your kid kind of doesn't remember, and gets too overwhelmed, and like he said, he got 3 kids. I
Yeah.
don't know how many babies mamas, but 3 kids is a lot. you know
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot when you're trying to support 3 kids, and then you're the last person that has to be supported, and your money is running short. you know it's hard. you know so I mean, I can understand them, but maybe Instead of spending 3 nights with them, she could spend maybe a night a week and then let's go to counseling for that other day, to teach you how to deal with some of this anxiety that you're feeling. But I
Mm.
see that Fletcher is not with that.
Yeah, he wasn't buying it.
Yeah, he's not with that. He's like, shit, y'all draining our little golden years, because you can't be an adult. I need you guys to adult, you
Yeah.
know. And I get it. I get it. Men are a little harder on the kids than the women are. We're naturally nurturers,
Mm-hmm.
so we're gonna try and fix and solve everything that we possibly can.
Mm. Well, I hope because the trailer was giving like the episode might be boring, but I hope it's not a literal boring episode because I really want to see the interaction between Jalen and Masao, the one person he thought has been like a father figure.
Yeah, I want to see how Kimmy's gonna react when she finds out her baby is moving out of state to a
Oh,
new
that
job. Yeah, I want
that.
to
But I
see.
I I think. Do you think before we end the life, I want to ask, do you think he accepting to move to Colorado is also in fusion with the fact that he was not really treated. He doesn't really feel like he's really that wanted in that household. Do you think that also imputed in being like, you know what, let me move out, like let me move to another state?
Yeah, I mean, like when Maurice was like, "Oh yeah, I'm starting a family business, and this, that, and the other, and I'm gonna let you be head of this," and like Jaden told him, "This is gonna be a dictatorship because you're gonna always be in there looking over my shoulder, trying to tell me what you think I need to fix." You know what I'm saying? Or giving your opinion, your very strong opinion, how you want things ran. This is a dictatorship, you know. So yeah, I kind of understand why he wants to sprout out on his own, get a fresh new start, so he could be the man that he wants to be, not the man that Maurice is trying to mold him into being, you know, but things that interest him, where he makes the popular choice. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah,
So yeah, I agree with him. Trying to get a fresh start.
sure. Everybody
You
needs a
know,
second chance.
yeah. Because he needs to grow into the man that God and created him to be, instead of being molded into what your mama's husband wants you to be.
Hmm. Well, I can't wait for next week's episode because it's, I at the end of the day,
Hmm.
the series is trying. But do you think after this season they might come back?
No, I mean, I I don't see where these storylines are going to go, where they're
Yeah,
headed. We're gonna have another 4 or 5 episodes of the same old
yeah.
crazy chaos. Then that's gonna be the end of the season. Then what are they gonna do next season to keep people's attention? Uh, you know,
Mm,
it's it's just it's not the same. It's not the same housewives of Huntsville. You know, it's
yeah.
it's not the same. And Martell with his secrets of knowing everybody's business, you know,
Exactly.
he's like a walking ticking bomb. You know, he's
Well,
ready to say it all.
mm, at this point, I guess we're gonna watch the episodes to see how that will turn out, and let's cross our fingers. Probably next week we'll get to see Mattel. Already in the clips, you see that there would be a show of um Destiny. So let's see whether by next week's episode we'll get to see Mattel also. Well, guys, that's what we're gonna end it for today. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for liking and commenting. Don't forget to click the subscription button down below to subscribe. We'll see you guys same time next week. Have a nice day, guys. Bye.
Bye.